Grimm partners here. Today we've got Cole, Dina, and Mike Stanley.
Woohoo!
Talking about some common buyer myths and some common buyer mistakes.
Oh, yeah, they're brutal when you see them.
So, first, some of the myths are that you need 20% down to buy a house. So, is that true or false?
That would be false.
So, what is the lowest that you need as a down payment to buy a house?
0% in some situations.
Yes, and that would be a USDA situation, which, contrary to popular belief, that also does not mean anything about beef.
There's other loan types where you can do 0% down, but USDA would be the most common that people don't know about. I mean,
No.
there's a ton of loan types. VA, there's FHA, there's doctor or medical professional loans, and that actually has been expanded depending on the lender to include a bunch of industries with lower down payments. In some cases, 0% down again.
What about the OFA?
OFA is an amazing thing. It's down payment assistance. So in a situation where you qualify for OFA, you may not be making a down payment. You're beginning an FHA loan, and then you would be paying, the OFA would be paying your down payment for you. Now, you have to pay that back if you move from the house within 7 years. If you stay 7 years or longer, that loan is forgiven. But you're not making payments on it or anything that entire time. It's just when you sell the home, you would have to pay it back if you move before 7 years. But here's the thing. You still get to borrow it for free, besides paying that back if you move within 7 years. So
Isn't that usually like rural property though?
No.
It's for USDA.
USDA. Okay.
Yeah, USDA is for rural property. Rural property. Easy for me to say. Not for beef.
So the OFA can be applied anywhere in the state of Ohio. It just depends on your income level for qualification. So you have to fall at or below the median income for the area. So each county is different. And you can go in individually or as a family. So someone might qualify as a family, but not individually, or vice versa. So a lender can check both ways for you.
And there's certain loans that, even within the city of Columbus, there's special loans for certain sectors of the city because they're just deemed in this area where they want to move more people into it. So they've got special loans for that. So a lot of people don't know about all those different types of loans and everything. So the first thing you should do is call us.
Yeah, a lot of people call those their community loans.
Yeah,
that's what the community loan. It depends on the lender.
So most lenders have to do so many of the community loans per year in order to keep whatever it is they're trying to keep. I don't know if it's like a tax break or what, but each lender gets something in
return for providing those loans.
For doing the community loans.
Yeah.
So those are kind of nice too. And then the other misconception that buyers have is that buying a condo is the same thing as buying a house. It's not necessarily even the same type of loan. There's a little loan product out there called portfolio loans. And if you go with the wrong lender, then you can be a week out from closing and find out that your down payment is going to go from 3 or 5% to 20% and have a week to turn that around, and it's impossible to do. So our team specializes not only in new construction and listing homes, but we specialize in condos and have for almost 30 years. So it's important to know the difference. And you also qualify for 30% less of a home if you're doing a condo loan because of the HOA fees too. So it's important to know what it is you're looking for out of the gate.
Yeah, condos are great. They're just a different beast.
Just different. Just like people think they can get an FHA or a VA loan on a condo. There's probably 3% of all homes qualifying for either an FHA or a VA. So 97% don't. So it's kind of like a needle in a haystack.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing I see is people are confused about that. I had an FHA buyer earlier this year, and they were buying a unique property, and as we were looking, you can pick out as an agent, you can say, hey, I don't know exactly what's going to disqualify it until it gets its appraisal and inspection done, but I know from seeing it and from experience, hey, this is probably going to be a disqualifier. This probably won't work. Or sometimes the listing agent will have a nice little lender come out and kind of tell them, hey, this isn't going to pass FHA. And it's kind of nice when that happens because we can communicate that. And a lot of buyers think, hey, I can just buy that because I'm approved for a loan. And I'm like, it doesn't work that way.
Well, especially FHA, there's 75 pages of reasons why a home wouldn't qualify for FHA. Right now, it's still a buyer's market. So right now, you have a better chance at getting an FHA or a VA fund through. Whereas if it's a seller's market, sellers don't want to make any repairs, which those FHA and VAs can require repairs. So a lot of times sellers don't want to mess with that. Sellers also have a preconceived notion that VA costs them a lot more to do, and it doesn't. So it doesn't actually cost anything to the seller to do a VA anymore. So, interesting.
What do you think? My biggest issue, I think, lately has been people confused about inspections still. So for a while there, some agents were saying, hey, it's competitive. Let's maybe, waive inspection if you would like to. I'm not saying you have to. And I never recommended that to my clients. I always said it's an option. I don't like it. I don't recommend it. Some would do it, but it was very rare. And I still see people attempting to do that or just saying, I don't need an inspection. And I never understand that because I think it's always a good idea to get a huge investment like that checked out.
So right now, the only people that I see waiving inspections are going to be people that are buying a property for investment purposes. Most investors know when they look at a house what it is they're going to have to fix.
But if they're not looking at it, then how would they? If they're not, are you saying they're not inspecting it, or?
No, so we're saying they're not hiring a professional inspector. So
Okay, I see what you're saying.
most flippers or investors have been through the process enough to where they know, okay, hey, this deck is falling off. I'm going to need to replace it. They don't need to pay someone $500 to tell them the deck needs replaced or that the roof is original, stuff like that. It's stuff they can look at a house and already know. And right now, because it is a buyer's market, we're definitely still getting home inspections through easier than ever, too.
And it's always smart to have one done, even if it's a new home. I mean, I recommend having somebody walk through the house. It's smart.
Especially first-time home buyers, because they need the knowledge. It's
Well, but the thing with first-time home buyers is first-time home buyers, too, have to be educated on what a home inspection report is and what it is.
correct.
So for them, it should be more of a guide for what they're going to need to do in the future. And it shouldn't scare the crap out of them. So I had an incident where I had a new agent. We had first-time home buyers who went in contract, found one of our listings, who then thought that the sky was falling. They thought the house was going to fall in, because there were, perceived issues with the basement. So I told them, hey, we'll extend your inspection period so you can get an engineer out to take a look at the house. Because an engineer isn't going to be selling you a product. Yeah, you call someone from a basement company, they're there to sell you a product, period. So of course they're going to make it sound worse than it is. So with that one, they decided to back out because they had a contractor come anyhow, didn't want to wait to get an engineer out to inspect it. So the contractor, of course, said the sky was falling and it was going to cost a fortune. So then we went out of contract. The next people through, Dad was a home inspector, and it went through fine. They didn't even do an inspection because Dad was with him and was a home inspector.
Right.
So that's why you kind of have to, the agent has to be experienced enough to be able to guide a buyer through.
It's true. You get plenty of people that freak out over an issue on the inspection report, and it is either a non-issue that doesn't need repaired or it's a minor repair that's not going to cost a lot of money.
And every single house has that the house needs to be regraded. Every single house has that because the inspector is doing that to cover the inspector.
And most houses have a door not closing correctly because it's slightly off, or the garage door pressure isn't correct. That's a huge one that I see on 90% of the homes. It's a safety issue that the garage door, when it hits, there's a certain amount of pounds of pressure. It's supposed to go back up. Well, there's an actual button or dial on all the garage door openers that you actually can calibrate that with, and almost all of them are off. It shows up on an inspection report. There's going to be something on every home.
Well, and fun fact, you can hire 100 different home inspectors and you will get 100 different inspection reports.
Right.
Because each home inspector has a different niche that they're like good at. So like one might know plumbing more than the other one. The other one might know electric. One might know structure more. But they're all going to find a way to show their value. Which is why when a seller says, hey, should I get a home inspection? No. Because you're going to fix everything that's on that inspection report. A buyer's still going to have a home inspection anyways. And now you're going to have a whole nother list of little things to do. So,
Correct.
yes. So, and then some of the, so those are some of the myths, I guess. And then some of the common mistakes that a buyer does. Cole, you've heard us talk about it, so.
I mean, just not contacting you and kind of doing things that not contacting the agent and kind of just doing things on their own or from what another person has told them can usually lead them astray because it's kind of the whole process that we've helped set up. And when they go to another agent or anyone else, that it tends to mess up the whole process.
It's like going to the wrong lender or stuff like that. Because they're definitely on lenders who specialize in certain areas. So just like a home inspector, not every lender knows USDA loans. Not every lender knows OFA. And we've had some lenders say, what's that?
I did have one that had zero idea what OFA was this last year and was pushing another down payment forgiveness program that was going to actually cost quite a lot of money. And it was a little surprising to see that. So
It's concerning.
I was very concerned, and I was very happy that my buyers decided to go with a different lender after that. So.
And do you know what are some common mistakes that you've ran into?
Well, as a buyer, do not quit your job. And your contract, don't go buy a car. And do not go on vacation.
So we always say these things, like it used to be very prevalent, the 10 commandments, and 9 of them are don't get new credit. So it really is a true state. We really shouldn't get new credit. I've had people buy a washer and dryer before and that qualified to close on a house. So they had a new washer and dryer, no place to put them because they couldn't buy the house and they'd already given up their lease. So that's a problem. And then we just had a scare recently where someone's job situation changed. We had 2 of them in a row, actually, where their job situation changed. And one of them, we weren't sure they were even going to be able to close. They had to come up with significantly more money in order to close. And the other one was fine. But it doesn't even work that way.
No, it's stay employed, don't spend a ton of money, don't open new lines of credit. Don't make any big purchases. That's the huge thing. Yeah.
But if you ever want to do a fun April Fool's gag on your real estate agent and you're in the middle of buying a home, send them a picture of you next to a new Mercedes. And see what happens next.
It's game over.
Terrible. It's
See
terrible.
what happens next.
And here's the thing is, that new car, those washer and dryers, all that stuff, it's going to be there after you close. And guess what? You can buy them then.
Yeah.
It's not going to affect the mortgage on your house. As long as you
It's
can
not gonna affect you getting the mortgage.
correct. I was going to say, as long as you can afford it, do it after the fact. So,
And the thing that you also shouldn't do is to lie to the loan officer during the process. And another fun fact is that they can verify your income, your employer, and everything up until the minute you sign the paperwork. So a lot of times that happens where people think they're out of the woods because they're the day of closing. And then we get a call and I'm sitting at the closing table and it's like, well, you can't close. Because in one case, someone had bought $7,000 worth of hair removal.
Wow.
So then we had to sit there for 4 hours while they returned $7,000 worth of hair removal.
I've never heard that one before. Yeah, that's a new one. I always tell my buyers, I'm like, you're under a microscope all the way to the end. Till you get the key until you sign. Just buy your groceries, your gas.
Yeah,
That's
nothing
it.
outside of the ordinance.
Yeah.
And they're going to ask you for statements multiple times. They're going to ask you for pay stubs multiple times. Just don't change it.
yeah.
No
Another
mortgage fraud.
buyer mistake I see and have heard some great stories about is you can't bring a suitcase of cash or gold bullion or silver pieces to closing as your down payment or for your closing costs.
We've had that person. We thought it was a wad of cash.
Yes, it was a duffel bag full of cash, was the proof of funds. A picture of it was someone sent to me for a proof of funds before. That doesn't work. And bringing silver to closing as your,
And that really doesn't.
Sounds like something Steve would do.
That really doesn't work if you're in a federal penitentiary.
correct.
Which that was.
Yes.
And in mine, the gentleman tried to bring 30 pieces of silver to close on a $500,000 home. But on top of that, he had a pirate addendum. And I said, what, one he got off of the internet? And they said, no, like ahoy mateys. So we've had some fun, which is why there's no manual for being a real estate agent.
You just you get it. Take them as they come.
Yep. So, yes, if you have any questions as to whether something is sufficient for a down payment or any of that fun stuff, we're happy to help. We're happy to be an all-around resource for real estate.
Yes, absolutely.
And then, any other common myths you hear with buying a home?
Just don't rush it.
Yeah.
A lot of people in my generation tend to think that interest rates still are gonna get better, and I feel like that's a crazy take because
They already are better.
well, I mean, they think they're gonna drop to from like 2 elections ago. They think they're gonna be from, and I don't think it's ever gonna
We're
get.
never going to see probably under 5, 5.5. Those are probably going to be the lowest.
Yeah, and if it ever does get to that, guess what's going to happen? Demand's going to shoot up, prices are going to shoot up. So if you own something already, you can refinance. That's the thing is
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, especially younger generations, are like, oh man, I get this in the loan, I'm locked in. You can refinance out of that if a better loan comes along.
Yeah.
I refinanced twice really quick on my house because interest rates kept falling. And I ended up recouping the cost to do that within like 6 months because of how good the interest rate was on my refi. If you sit there and wait and a couple of years goes by and it's significantly better, refinance. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And I had a very smart 22-year-old contact me and want to buy a condo. And she bought a condo that was like $250. This was like maybe last year, year before. So her parents had bought a hunter. They immigrated here from Liberia. And so she bought a house here on Rich called a condo near her parents. And I was like, I'm just so proud of you. I just kept buying her stuff. So I'm like,
Yep.
she's going to need cleaning products. She's going to need a trash can. I'm like, I'm just so proud of you. So I'm like, I just want to make sure she had everything. And I wish I would have done that at her age too. And I did not.
Same.
Although, if I had done that at her age, I would have bought a particular condo that actually did not gain in value for about 15 years. So I'm like, that would have been my luck.
But it's nice to see somebody that young coming
It's
in,
fantastic.
but buying, but also saying, hey, I want you to pass your knowledge on to me. I want you to help me in this home. So many young people, even up to my age, I'm 40 years old. A lot of people are like, I can just look it up on the internet. I'll do my own research. I'll find this. And guess what? You're missing out on so much because there are intricacies that you would not even think of. There are questions that you will come up with and you will not be able to find the answer. You'll find an adjacent answer, and it's not the whole picture. Talking to an expert doesn't cost you anything. Meeting with a real estate agent, talking to a real estate agent, meeting with a loan officer, getting those questions answered. And another mistake is not getting pre-approved before you start looking at homes.
That's homeless before you get pre-approved.
Correct.
And also get the wrong pre.
Correct. But it's crazy to think I can just do all this on my own and have everything go the way it's supposed to.
Well, especially with that younger generation, because they're kind of like my husband. My husband is, Sheldon Cooper of Dublin. But they just think that they don't have to talk to anybody or go anywhere or do anything. They'll just look it all up online. And, AI is going to tell them how to do everything. And that's not the case. Real estate is still very much a personal relationship, a personal, face-to-face kind of business. And we also still do everything with wet signatures, as they call it.
Yep. And everything is very localized. I can look up something on Google and look through AI to try to get an answer, and it will tell me the wrong answer because it's so localized to Central Ohio, to the Cleveland area, to Cincinnati, to Dayton. There's different laws, there's different rules, there's different traditions, and the transaction goes a different way in all those areas.
There's definitely different customs.
Yep.
So anyhow, anybody think of anything else before we wrap up?
I was just gonna say, relying on AI. I mean,
Yeah.
you'll get even if the information is correct, you're gonna have to rely on it every time. And you're just gonna think unorganically, and whenever you talk to the actual client, they're gonna see right through your BS, because you're just reading from a book pretty much, and a lot of it's probably in a completely different format than you would usually talk. So I don't know. I think we got to be careful with ChatGPT, especially my generation, because that is a big thing.
Yep, that it is. Okay, we're going to wrap up. Thanks for joining us. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And as always,
Like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell at Shannon Grimm Realtor at 614 Real Estate Nerds.